If you're thinking about buying a new SUV in 2027, there's something you should know before you assume the Toyota RAV4 is automatically the safe choice. Because when people hear RAV4, they usually think they already know the answer. Toyota. Reliable. Practical. A safe choice. And honestly, that's exactly why you need to look a little closer. Because the RAV4 has changed. But here's the part that could surprise you. The 2027 RAV4 isn't a completely new RAV4. Toyota completely redesigned the RAV4 for 2026, bringing in the 6th generation, a new design, a redesigned interior, new technology, and a major change under the hood. The US lineup moved to hybrid and plug-in hybrid power only. For 2027, the RAV4 largely carries that new formula forward. So the real question isn't, what's new for 2027? It's this. Was Toyota's new RAV4 formula actually better? Because a newer RAV4 doesn't automatically mean a better RAV4 for you. And by the end, I'll tell you who should seriously consider the 2027 RAV4, and who may be better off looking at a Honda CR-V, Hyundai Tucson, or Kia Sportage instead. So before you make up your mind, let's look at what Toyota actually changed. The first thing you'll notice is the design. The new RAV4 looks different. Not just a little different. Toyota gave the 6th generation model a sharper, more confident appearance while keeping the basic identity that made the RAV4 so recognizable. And instead of giving every buyer exactly the same personality, Toyota created different directions for the lineup, including the everyday core design, the rugged Woodland, and the sportier GR Sport. That's actually a smart move, because not everyone wants the same SUV. Some people want something simple for work and family life. Others want something that looks ready for a weekend adventure. And some want their SUV to feel a little more exciting every time they walk toward it. The RAV4 now gives those buyers different choices. But here's the question. Does the new design actually make the RAV4 better? Or does it just make it look newer? Because you don't spend your money on an SUV just to admire it in the driveway. You're going to spend most of your time inside it. And that's where the new RAV4 becomes much more interesting. Step inside, and the difference becomes easier to understand. The cabin has been redesigned with a cleaner, more modern look, and technology now plays a much bigger role in the experience. But forget the specifications for a moment. Think about your normal day. You get in, you put your phone down, you start your music, you check your route, you adjust the temperature, and you drive. That's what a good SUV should do. It should make those simple moments feel simple. Because nobody wants to spend the first 5 minutes of every drive fighting with the vehicle. And this is where Toyota's approach makes sense. The RAV4 isn't trying to become a luxury car. It's trying to become a better everyday SUV. One that works for commuting, for shopping, for family trips, for road trips, and for all those ordinary journeys that don't look exciting on a brochure but make up most of your life. The technology follows that same idea. The new RAV4 offers a more digital cabin, modern connectivity, and Toyota's latest safety technology. But here's something I would remember. More technology doesn't automatically mean more value. A feature is only valuable if you actually use it. And that brings us to one of the biggest changes in the new RAV4. The hybrid. This is where Toyota made a decision that changes the entire buying conversation. The new generation RAV4 in the US no longer offers the old gas-only setup. Instead, the lineup is built around hybrid and plug-in hybrid power. Now, don't let that sound complicated. The basic idea is simple. You want an SUV that can handle your normal driving while using fuel more efficiently. And for someone who spends a lot of time commuting, sitting in traffic, running errands, or driving around town, that can be a very attractive combination. But don't make the mistake of saying, hybrid means better. Ask a better question. Is the hybrid better for me? If you drive a lot and plan to keep the vehicle for years, the hybrid could make a lot of sense. If you drive very little, your priorities may be different. And then there's the plug-in hybrid. For some buyers, the ability to drive on electric power for everyday trips could be a major advantage. For others, the higher price may not be worth it. So once again, the smartest RAV4 isn't necessarily the most advanced one. It's the one that matches your life. And now we have to talk about money, because this is where a good SUV can suddenly become a questionable purchase. The 2026 RAV4 hybrid started at $31,900 before destination and other charges, while higher hybrid trims climbed into the $40,000 range. The plug-in hybrid starts substantially higher. Exact 2027 pricing can change, so don't make your decision based on an estimated number. Instead, look at what you're actually getting for the money, because it's very easy to start with one RAV4, then move up to a nicer trim, add more equipment, choose more capability, and suddenly you're spending thousands more. So ask yourself, what am I actually paying extra for? If you're mainly commuting, carrying your family, running errands, and taking occasional trips, you may not need the most expensive RAV4. And that's why the middle of the lineup could be more interesting than the top. You don't need to buy the most expensive version just because it's available. Buy the version you'll actually use. Now comes the real test. RAV4 versus the competition. Because Toyota isn't selling this SUV in an empty market. There's the Honda CR-V, the Hyundai Tucson, the Kia Sportage, and each one has something going for it. Honda has a strong reputation. Hyundai and Kia can be very attractive if you want technology, features, and value. So why choose the RAV4? The answer shouldn't simply be, because it's a Toyota. That's exactly the belief we challenged at the beginning. The RAV4's argument is its overall balance. Hybrid efficiency, practical size, modern technology, different personalities, family-friendly usefulness, and the familiarity of a name many buyers already trust. But that doesn't mean it wins every category. If your priority is getting the most features for your money, you should compare the Tucson and Sportage carefully. If you simply prefer the way the CR-V drives or feels, that matters. And if you're looking for the lowest possible price, don't assume the RAV4 automatically wins. The smartest buyer isn't the person who chooses the most popular batch. It's the person who asks, which SUV gives me the things I actually care about for the money I'm willing to spend? So what are the biggest strengths of the new RAV4? First, balance. It's practical without being huge. It's efficient without requiring you to drive a small car. It gives you modern technology without abandoning the everyday SUV formula. And Toyota gives you different versions for different kinds of buyers. But there are compromises. The price can climb quickly. The plug-in hybrid may be unnecessary for some buyers. And if you're expecting the RAV4 to suddenly feel like a luxury SUV, you may be disappointed. It's still a mainstream SUV. And honestly, that's probably the right decision. Toyota isn't trying to turn the RAV4 into something it was never meant to be. It's trying to make the RAV4 better at being a RAV4. So who should actually buy one? If you want an SUV for commuting, family life, shopping, road trips, and normal everyday driving, the RAV4 makes a strong case. If you want hybrid efficiency, modern technology, practical space, and the freedom to choose between different versions, it's worth serious consideration. But who should think twice? If you want the cheapest SUV possible, if you want the most exciting driving experience, or if you simply don't care about hybrid power, you should compare other options before making the decision. And that's the most important thing to remember. Don't buy the RAV4 because everyone says Toyota is the safe choice. And don't reject it because another SUV looks more exciting. Look at your own needs. Look at your budget. And look at how you'll actually use the vehicle. So, is the 2027 Toyota RAV4 worth your money? For the right buyer, yes. But not because it's automatically the best SUV. The new RAV4 is interesting because Toyota took a vehicle people already trusted and changed the formula in some very important ways. A new generation. Hybrid-focused power. A completely new look. A redesigned cabin. More technology. More choices. But remember, 2027 isn't a brand new generation. It's largely the continuation of what Toyota introduced for 2026. And that's actually good news if you like the new RAV4. You aren't waiting for Toyota to figure out whether this new formula works. The 6th generation RAV4 is already here. Now you just have to decide whether this version fits you. Because the best SUV isn't necessarily the one with the biggest reputation. It's the one that fits your budget, your family, your driving habits, and your life. So before you sign the papers, compare the RAV4 against the CR-V, Tucson, and Sportage. Drive them. Look at the price. Think about the version you actually need. And then make the decision. Because sometimes the smartest choice isn't the SUV everyone tells you to buy. It's the one that makes the most sense for you.